I want to know Christ, yes, to know the power of his resurrection and participation in his sufferings, becoming like him in his death, and so somehow attaining to the resurrection from the dead. Before we jump in, let's give a little context on Philippians. It was written around 60 to 62 AD, while Paul was most likely imprisoned in either Rome or Ephesus. At this time, we can see in these two verses that Paul really cared about knowing Christ. But what does knowing Christ actually look like to us today? So, this word used in verse 10 is actually a Greek word called gnoski. And what this means is not just knowledge in our English context, but actually it means an intimate or deep knowledge of something, dependent on a relationship. In this case, it would be dependent on a relationship with God. Paul didn't want to just know of God, he wanted to know God intimately, sharing in his sufferings to fully experience what Christ experienced. Here's an example that might help put this in context. If your friend, let's say a few years ago, went through a really difficult divorce or a big disappointment, you may offer them your condolences when you find out about it or feel a sense of grief. However, if you walked through that time with them and day in and day out, seeing the grief on their face or how their voice sounded under stress, I think you would say that you actually know them a lot more intimately now than you did before. This is the type of knowledge that Paul is talking about here. It is a knowledge that comes with deep struggle and walking intimately with somebody. Paul was imprisoned at this time because he knew Christ intimately. And so the promise of the resurrection to come would have been really encouraging to both him and followers in Philippi that were facing persecution. And so today, take a moment to ask yourself, do I just know of Christ from the pages of the Bible or from, let's say, a friend or a parent, or do I know him intimately? Have I struggled like he has struggled? Have I experienced the pain that he experienced? Take heart today and know that your freedom is found ultimately in knowing Christ and being in relationship with him.